The information that you will be exposed to in this brief but powerful presentation will challenge many of your current paradigms about money and what is actually possible for you to do with your financial resources, no matter how big or small they may be. The little known but tried and true strategies that we will discuss in this presentation could change everything for you and your family financially, but only if you do your own due diligence and then integrate your newfound knowledge into your lifestyle. You see, it doesn't matter whether you make $20,000 a year or $20 million per year. Maximization of your life's financial pipeline is the key to just how much of it you're able to enjoy, share with others, and leave behind as a legacy. The average individual will earn at least $1 to $2 million in their lifetime, but because of faulty money paradigms and simple errors in judgment, will not even come close to reaching their potential financially. Legacy banking will release and maximize this untapped financial potential for anyone who grasps the legacy banking concept. If you're ready to learn, let's get started.
The effects of the current economic crisis have touched everyone. Even if you still have a good job and a paid-up mortgage, chances are your monthly 401k statement will remind you that you've lost a good chunk of your savings. It was a gray, chilly morning in Midtown Manhattan, and a line of unemployed, mostly white-collar workers stretched for blocks around the Radisson Hotel.
If you are just arriving, please step this way.
It was called a career fair, but there was no merriment here, only a whiff of desperation. Many of these people had been out of work for months and burned through their liquid assets, their future even bleaker than the present. Alan Weir, who turned 60 this month, showed us his latest 401k statement, which he hadn't had the courage to open up.
I'm afraid.
You're going to open it now?
You want me to? Let's do it.
There's good reason for his trepidation. Nearly half of his life savings have vanished in a matter of months.
It went down again.
How much are you down overall?
About $140,000.
Do you think you'll ever get it back?
I will probably never see it come back. I was looking to retire probably when I hit 62. I can't do it now. I'll probably be working until I'm at least 70.
I'm a Microsoft Office diva.
Until she lost her job, Kathleen Coleman had spent nearly 30 years working as an executive assistant on Wall Street. She doesn't have much to show for it.
Tell me about your 401k.
Does this answer the question?
This is what it was in 2005. 2007, you're down below 2005.
Right. Another one went down almost $40,000. One was 88,000, and then it went down to like 50.
How old are you?
54, and I live alone. I don't have any children. I've been a career girl all my life, and it's been a great career, and I don't deserve this. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Psychologically, what does this piece of paper do to you?
Oh, it crushes any rest I may get when I'm 65. I'll have to work for the rest of my life.
The saddest part of this story is that it's being repeated all over the country. In eastern Pennsylvania, 59-year-old Iris Hans lost her accounting job and half of her 401k investments. She's now back in the workforce as a part-time cashier in a grocery store.
Your debit card? You have a great day.
In Dearborn, Michigan, Terry and Donna McNally are barely holding on. He lost his sales job in August, and 40% of his 401k retirement savings is gone. Donna is the main provider now.
The 401k drop was tremendous, is tremendous at this point in time, and that's where the savings was. That's our hurt right now.
We can't live our vision of our dream of retirement. That's the worst part. Many people can't.
Do you think you'll ever be able to retire?
I don't see that day. I can no longer see that day.
What kind of a retirement plan allows millions of people to lose 30 to 50% of their life savings just as they near retirement? David Ray, president of the Profit-Sharing 401k Council of America and a lobbyist for the 401k industry, says it's one that empowers people to make their own investment decisions.
401k is the absolute best way people can save for retirement. They absolutely are the best retirement vehicle we have.
How can you say it's the best available if
It has let down tens of millions of people at the time they need the money the most.
That's not a 401k problem. That is our entire investment system. This is about the markets went down for everybody. Nobody was saved in the current thunderstorm. In America, it's a society based on freedom and choice and personal responsibility. 401k is part of that. There are no guarantees.
What about the people who are 63 or 64? A lot of those people were thinking about retiring.
Well,
and now they aren't.
Well, I mean,
a lot of them were retired and have to go back into the workforce.
Well, but that was not a 401k problem. That's an investment system problem. The markets go up and down, and if those people chose to take equity risk, there was a logical outcome.
The fact is that the typical 401k investor is a financial novice. They don't know a stock from a line. And we give them a list of 20 or 30 mutual funds with really, really powerful names. You know, they sound like, gee, that's where I want to have my money. I'm going to be real honest with you. With half the funds on the list, really dogs, what people would characterize as dogs, shouldn't be on the list to start with.
There clearly has been a raid on these funds by the people of Wall Street, and it's cost the savers and the future retirees a lot of money that would otherwise be in their account, independent of the financial collapse.
We wanted to ask David Ray, who's been so bullish on 401k plans, one last question about what the future holds for people like Terry and Donna McNally and Kathleen Coleman, who you met at the beginning of this story. Most of the people that we've talked to are 50 and 60 years old,
right,
and have sustained these losses, say there is no way they're ever going to make them back.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
I think we have to be truth tellers. I think that when a person has hit this point and we've had this unfortunate situation, I don't think we can misrepresent what the possibilities are.
And the reality is that money is not coming back that they've lost.
They can't count on it. They have to, maybe they have maybe if they work 10 more years, it'll come back by but it's important that they not have unrealistic expectations.
Did you see some contradiction when you saw the powers that be at the top that controlled the 401ks and things of that nature? They said, didn't he say that it was the best place you could invest for your retirement? Did you hear that? Then at the same time, he said they knew what they were getting into. Right? Does it seem like anyone cares about your future the way you should? No. It's time for us to take responsibility for our futures and not be at the mercy of the markets. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to educate you. Tonight's a night of education. Okay, some of you don't even know why you're here. You're like, I'm coming for dinner, right? But for some of you guys, it's going to be what I call the financial bookmark of your life. When I say that, I mean you'll remember this night forever as a night that changed the way that you think about money. It's going to change your level of awareness, and it's going to excite you. It should excite you tremendously about what's possible for not only yourself, but for your families for generations to come. Okay? Let me talk a little bit introduce myself so you guys know who I am. My name is Rich Thompson. I am the Senior Financial Strategist for Advanced Legacy Concepts. I've been a serial entrepreneur for about 20 years, okay? Haven't worked for anyone for about 20 years. Had some, I'd say a successful entrepreneur. Seen some lows, but seen some really high highs. A few years ago, I had reached what I call the proverbial mountaintop of my small business success, where I was a partner in a business that was generating millions of dollars per year, and I thought I had made it. I had accomplished the American dream, right? But see, who in here believes that just because you earn a lot of money doesn't mean you understand money? Who would agree with that? See, I was making a lot of money, but I didn't understand money. I was doing all the traditional things that I had heard about, that my peers were doing, that I was seeing on TV, right? I was investing in the normal things, the stocks, the IRAs, things of that nature. And for anyone in here who's an entrepreneur, you know, don't we reinvest back into our businesses with hopes that our businesses will continue to grow and set us up for later, so we'll be okay, right? We're just so optimistic, aren't we? Got any entrepreneurs in here? Oh yeah, we're the most optimistic individuals in society, which is a good thing because, you know, entrepreneurs make the country go, right? But do things happen sometimes that are unexpected in business? You see, at the top of that mountain, all of a sudden some things changed in that industry. And went from a business that was generating millions of dollars per year to literally generating nothing.
because of some FCC regulations and some other things that happened that basically prohibited us from marketing the way we were. And it got ugly. It got really ugly. When you create something that's really big, when you go up high, guess what? The fall is harder, right? So it was really bad. So at that time, I actually reconnected an individual that I'd known for about 10 years, had been reaching out to myself and my partner at the time to tell us about what he was doing. I had heard that he had had tremendous success. I knew that he was wealthy. He had built wealth over the past 10 years. But at the time when he was reaching out, I was doing okay too. I was popping my suspenders, right? We were successful too. I didn't have time to listen to what he was trying to tell me, right? So he was doing seminars. I had heard that he was doing these financial seminars, and I heard that the wealthy came to him for advice. So when things crashed, all of a sudden I became a lot more open to go and talk to him, right? So I drove up to Virginia and met with him and sat down with him, told him what had happened with my business, and I said, it seems like you've been able to maintain this success for the last 10, 12 years. How have you been able to maintain it? Not only make it to the top, how have you sustained this for so long? And he sat down with me and began to explain to me what it was that he taught in his practice. He began to teach me the truth about money, and like I said, that day was what I call the financial bookmark of my life. Okay? And now, what I did at that point is I began to, now I'm a very analytical individual. We probably have some others in here as well. I'm a Georgia Tech guy, very analytical. I don't just take things for face value, but I am open. I'm an entrepreneur, so I am open to do my own due diligence and look into things. So when he was showing me these concepts and strategies, all I could think was, if this is true, what he's showing me, this is life-changing information. So I began to do my research, do my due diligence, and everything he showed me was checking out. So I began to implement these strategies into my own personal life, didn't share it with anyone for about 7 months. I just implemented the strategies and researched them, and as I began to live this, I became more and more passionate about it, so passionate that I said, I want to do this too. I want to share these concepts. I want to teach them with other individuals. I want to make an impact on society. And at the end of this evening, you guys will understand why I was so excited and why I'm still excited 3 years later that I started from when I first started doing this. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about us. Advanced Legacy Concepts. Now, you see this logo here? That logo says live well, leave a legacy. Now, normally those two terms are what we call oxymorons. Right? They don't go together, like icy hot, right? Live well, leave a legacy. They clash as well, don't they? Most people choose one or the other. We're either living well, right, and forget about the legacy, or we're sacrificing our lifestyle to try to make it better for the next generation. Who would agree with that? See, what I learned a few years ago, that you can actually do both harmoniously, and it's unbelievable. That LB there stands for Legacy Banking. The strategy that we're going to focus on tonight is a strategy called Legacy Banking that's going to teach you how to not only live well, but to leave a legacy for generations to come. Our mission is to create better financial futures and legacies through a higher quality of financial education. We believe that a strong foundational understanding of how money works leads to much more sound financial decisions. While always putting people before profits, what we do is recommend strategies that will not only benefit clients today, but also families for generations to come. See, around this room, you all were invited by advisors with our company who are all just as passionate as I am about what we do. Okay, they all are here to fulfill this mission. I'm going to show you what I learned 3 years ago. When I sat down with the gentleman who is now my mentor, he drew a circle on a piece of paper. And he explained to me, this circle represents all the money that you're ever going to earn in your lifetime. Some individual circles are bigger than others. Would you agree? Right? But what is everyone's goal? What does everyone want to happen to that circle? They want it to grow, don't they? Everyone wants their circle to grow. So what are some ways that we grow that circle? How do you grow it? You got some money, you got a nest egg, how do you grow it? Invest, right? What comes along with investing? Risk, right? Now we just inherently know that just comes with it. That's just how it is, right? The higher rate of return that we want, the more what? If I told you I had an investment for you that could earn you 50% per month, what would you think? What would you think the chances are of you ever seeing that money again if you gave it to me? Pretty low, right? Very low. So what he did is after he drew this circle, he said, see, in order for our circle to grow, you have to understand how money's divided, okay? Money can be divided into 3 different sections. You have to look at it like this. Section 1 is your accumulated money. Those are things such as your savings, 401ks, IRAs, things of that nature, that money that we put away for a rainy day, for retirement, right? Then that second section is our lifestyle money. This yellow section is the section that everyone loves. Our house, our cars, the vacations, all the good stuff, right? Now, this is the dilemma. If you had to sacrifice one of these two, which one would most people sacrifice if they had to make a decision? They're going to sacrifice that, right? We don't want to give up our lifestyles, do we? No. This is the reason why most individuals procrastinate when it comes to retirement. We procrastinate going and sit down at the table with that financial guy. What is he going to tell us? He's going to tell us we have to save more, right? We don't want to do that. If I save more, then I can't take as many vacations and do all the things I love to do, right? So what we do is we procrastinate and we just wait and we wait and we wait. Next thing we know, we look up and we're 60, right? And we say, I got to get started on this savings thing, right? And that's why 80% of Americans end up depending on friends, family, or the federal government. Would you agree? Okay, just make sure we're on the same page here. Now, it's okay to have lifestyle as well, but we have to have balance. Now, something he showed me was, look, if you notice, I've only gone through 2 sections there. There's another section there that's just as big as the other 2. Most people don't even know it exists. That third section is what we call lost money or wealth transfers. Everyone in this room is transferring away their potential future wealth unknowingly, but also unnecessarily in most cases. Okay? Now, how does that happen? It happens through things like never really understanding how our mortgages work. Would you agree that a mortgage is most of our biggest investments we'll ever make in our lives? Would you guys agree? Right? Are you a mortgage expert? Do you understand how to take advantage of all the tax rules and everything with your mortgage to minimize your taxes as much as possible, to mitigate the interest and all those things? Who knows how to do that? Who's an expert at doing that in here? But that's the biggest investment you'll ever make. Wouldn't you think that's important? Right? What about credit card interest? I think everyone knows about that, right? We make those minimum payments. How long does it take to pay one off? Right? Never. Right? Then taxes. Do you think that it makes a difference how much you understand taxes? Yeah? Mitt Romney paid less in taxes percentage-wise than most individuals in this room. He only made $400 million last year. He made about 400 million times more if it paid a less percentage in taxes, right? It's because he understands the tax code. See, we all have been taught to fear the IRS, right? Fear them. We don't even want to look at the IRS books or codes or anything like that, because what are they trying to do? They're trying to take our money, aren't they? Isn't that how we look at it? They're trying to take our money. Did you guys know that just about every IRS code is put there to save us money? But we look at it, our paradigm, see, that's what we've been taught. We've been taught that the IRS is bad. Internal Revenue Code is a bad thing. And you're going to learn a lot this evening. Risk, we just talked about that. We lose money through risk, taking unnecessary risk, trying to grow that circle. So lots of times we lose half of the circle, right? And we have to just replenish and replace that money again. Lastly, another huge wealth transfer is insurance. Who in this room has some type of insurance? Show of hands. Okay, just like I thought. Everyone in the room has some type of insurance, right? Do you know that you're maximizing that insurance and you're getting the best rate for that insurance, or you're doing it the right way? You have the best combination of deductible and copay and all that good stuff. Do you guys know that you're doing that the right way? Do you know most individuals who have families and pay for their own health insurance actually pay twice as much for it than they have to? Did you know that? Because really have never been taught how to piece together health plans and things of that nature. So insurance is a huge wealth transfer as well. So what we teach, what he showed me was, look, what we're all trying to do is we're all trying to always chase that winner, chase that winning stock, chase that winning real estate deal, chase that investment, and we keep losing. Right? We keep losing. We're trying to find that higher rate of return. What he showed me was something I never thought of before. He said, look, if you can recapture some of this money and get it back, you can make more, put more into your savings than you ever could trying to find an investment that you can earn more on. Does that make sense? He says, and also, you don't have to put it all into accumulated money. When you do this, you can actually recoup so much money that you can enjoy the ride along the way and put more into lifestyle at the same time without ever taking one risk. Does that make sense to anyone? All right, let's move on. See, now, like I said, we're educators, so we teach in pictures. Because people learn with pictures. If I got up here and spoke a lot of financial terms and all that stuff, you walk, I see a bunch of deer in the headlights in here, right? So I'm going to show you pictures tonight, okay? This picture here is called the personal economic flow model. Okay, this represents how money flows through your hands during your lifetime, right? Your money's going to first flow into this tank here on the left-hand side. Now, you see at the top there it says earned income and inheritance. How do most individuals get their income? Earned, right? Most individuals here don't know anyone who's living off of an inheritance, right? So earned income. Once we get that money, it's going to, now visualize in your mind. Now you got to use your imaginative, creative juices here, right? Imagine that the money's in liquid form. It's being poured into this tank here, right? Now it's going to flow. It flows there into what's called your monthly cash flow. Now, if that were a liquid, what would be the natural direction it would flow? To the right, to the left, or up? Where would it flow? To the right? Now, if it flows to the right, it's going to go into lifestyle, and it's consumed forever. Do you see that? That the liquid is leaving the financial system? Does everybody see that? Let me ask you a question. Once that money leaves the financial system, can you ever earn interest on it again? Can you use it for retirement? Can you invest it somewhere? Can you use it to send your kids to college? No, you have to replace it with new money, don't you? Right? You have to create more earned income. So what he taught me was, what the financially privileged do is they know I cannot let my money leave this system. If I keep my money in the system, I can actually continue to use it over and over again. This is going to blow you away. Now watch this. Now, how do you keep the money in the system? Well, you have to consume some of it, right? You have to consume some of it. But you have to have something called a lifestyle regulator. Some of us call it a budget. Some of us call it discipline, right? Because isn't it difficult to save, right? See that little valve right here? See that valve? You can either open that valve all the way up, or you can close it some, or you can just move that deal around, right? If you open it all the way up, the money flows out of the system. If you close it a little bit, it puts pressure on the system, and it causes some of the money to pump up here. Because isn't it pressure to save? Who feels pressure when they have to save? It's pressure, right? So once we save, now the money goes either into our savings or investments or into both of them, right? Now, you'll notice these two tanks that you see here, they're both different. The investment tank, it has no cap on it. It's open. Because some of this liquid can evaporate. Anyone ever had an investment that evaporated before? Just kind of disappeared? I know I have. Right? But if you look over here, the savings tank has a cap on it. So you know once the money goes into there, it's not going anywhere. Now, where are some places that we can save that are very safe? The bank. Okay, where else? Mattress, right? Tin can, right? Who can tell me what the banks are paying right now on those savings accounts? Less than 1%. 0.5, 0.2, 0.4. Go to bankrate.com if you don't believe me and look it up. Okay? Now, if the banks are paying 0.2% on your money, your safe money, right? Let's look at what's really happening here. Anyone ever heard of inflation before? Who can tell me what the average inflation rate is per year? Guess. What's a guess? Percentage. It's between 3 and 5, right? On average, between 3 and 5. Okay, so let's think about this. I have my money in a savings account. My money's earning 0.2. Is losing value of 3% per year. So I'm going broke safely. You guys understand that? Right? So wouldn't you agree that you have to at least keep up with inflation? Somewhere safe that you can at least keep up with inflation? Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at this. And then one thing you don't want to forget as well is see that liquid dripping out of the bottom of the system? Those are taxes. You can't forget about those, can you? Has to go through the tax filter, and taxes are always dripping out of our system. So we have to learn what can we do to mitigate those taxes as well. All right, let's move forward. Now, what we're going to learn today is how to minimize unnecessary wealth transfers and to maximize the use of each dollar within our personal economic systems. Guys, you got to forget everything you thought you knew before you came into this room this evening. I thought I knew some stuff. I did. A few years ago, I'm making, companies cash flowing millions. I thought I knew some stuff. People were looking up to me. He's the man. I wasn't the man. In retrospect, I didn't know anything. I was a financial idiot. You understand? Do you guys understand that probably 99% of our society is financially illiterate? Do you guys understand that? We are financially illiterate. We're just doing what our friends are doing. We're just gambling, okay? So forget what you learned and just open your mind up to some new things. See, because if you're too attached to your own thinking and how everything is done now, then nothing will change for the better. John Maxwell said that. Our only security is our ability to change. If you're not constantly changing during your lifetime, you're in trouble. Would you agree? All right. So let me ask you a question. Because he asked me this a few years ago. He said, look, if what you always believed to be true about money turned out not to be true, when would you want to know? What would you want to know? That's what I said. I said, tell me now. I want to know now. Explain to me now, right? See, I'm about to break it down to you. Everyone in this room falls into one of these three categories. You're either in one of those categories or between two of them. You're either a wealth chaser, a wealth waster, or you're a wealth creator. So watch carefully and determine where are you, okay? That's a wealth chaser. Anyone ever felt like that before, any time in their lives? Seems like you're just not going anywhere, right? Now, let me clarify this for you. A wealth chaser is not someone who's just chasing wealth. There's someone who's chasing financial stability. Anyone ever been there before? Just chasing financial stability, right? See, one of the biggest reasons why wealth chasers are chasing financial stability is because of traditional debt. We borrow, and then we're making these structured principal and interest payments every month. Anyone ever had a check coming and said that's already spent? Right? That means we're putting future obligations on our future money. Does that make sense? So that's what the position that wealth chasers are in. Let's look at the visual of how this works. See, this strategy does not build wealth. See, everyone starts at what we call the broke line. All of our advisors, we all know what the broke line is. Everyone starts at zero, right? I know I started at zero. Then I went to college, didn't have a job. Then they set this table up on campus. I was like, that looks... Wachovia Bank. What's that? Special student credit card. So I went over there, and guess what? Even though I didn't have a job, I qualified for the student credit card. So I get this credit card. I never had been taught about credit. Didn't understand how it worked. I got the credit card, and I went to the store and bought that stereo I wanted for my dorm room. Right? Now, was I at the broke line or was I below the broke line now? I was below the broke line, right? I had been introduced to the world of debt. Okay? Now, most of us never get out of the world of debt once we enter it, once we're introduced to it, right? See, when we sit down with our clients, most of the time we ask them, what is your financial goal? What's your immediate financial goal? They say, I just want to get out of debt. See, what I'm visualizing in my mind is them saying, I just want to get back to the broke line. I just want to get back to zero. Do you understand? That's what they're saying? I just want to get back to zero. That's most people's immediate goal. Just get me back to zero. I feel great if I was just broke. Because right now, it's bad. It's worse than broke. Just get me broke, right? But then once we get back to that broke line, this is what happens. We look at the credit card again. man, those are some nice shoes. I got all that, $10,000 on this credit card. That TV I wanted, that vacation, and we keep doing it over and over again. And we keep operating between broke and below broke. Who would agree? I just want to make sure I'm in the right room. Between broke and below broke. That's the life of a wealth chaser. So now, this is what happens. See, I had lived in that world. Serious debt, right? Credit all messed up, all that good stuff. So when I started making the money, and I'm looking at the account, $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. I said, well, I'll never be in debt again. What did I do? When I had a major expense, what do you think I did? Stroke that check, right? Because I'm like, we're popping our suspenders once again. We're debt free, right? Paid cash. What I learned 3 years ago was that's wrong. That's the second phase of financial literacy when you become a wealth waster now. See, paying cash is basically a wealth transfer. It's a wealth transfer. Because remember that personal economic system you just saw? When you pay cash, does the money stay in the system or does it go out? It leaves the system, so I can never earn interest on it again. I can never do anything with the money again. All I can do is I can just say I'm debt free, but I'm not building any wealth. Does that look a little bit different than a wealth chaser? What looks different about that? I'm above the broke line, right? So now I have savings. I'm able to save money, but when I have a major expense, I pay cash. What happened? I went back to the broke line, but it's okay because I got good cash flow. I got a good job. My business is rolling. I know I can replace that money. I got more coming in next month. Next week, getting that big check, right? That's how I looked at it. And then what happens when one day you come to work, the guy's standing at your desk in the security uniform with the box. There's a pink slip on your desk. Had a great job, and you just made that major purchase. Over and over again, you were doing this. But guess what? When he came to your desk with that box, you had just made that purchase. Where are you? You're at the broke line. Does it matter? Let me ask you guys a question. Does it matter what happened between here and here? Or does it matter where you are? All that matters is that you're at the broke line. You and the wealth chaser are staring each other in the face again. Do you guys understand that? See, what I learned was there's an endless cycle between the wealth chaser and the wealth waster. You become a wealth chaser again, then you build up again, you become a wealth waster. And it's over and over again. And some entrepreneurs in here can understand. You've been there before. We sit around the table and talk about the good old days when we had all the money. Right? Then we lost it. Then we had to build it back up. Then we lost it. Some of you have been through that cycle several times who are in here right now, right? Until we until we understand money, until we learn the truth, the cycle will never end. It will never end. See, paying cash is a defensive strategy. When you pay cash, do you say, I'm going to get wealthy spending cash? Or are you spending cash to avoid something? Right? We're paying cash to avoid owing someone else interest, right? That's the only reason why we're paying cash, to avoid being in debt, to avoid having to pay interest. Why should I pay that interest? I have the cash, right? It's a defensive strategy. It's not a wealth-building strategy. See, what I learned was something that was pretty interesting. I had never thought of it before. I learned the truth about something called opportunity cost. I'd heard the term before, but I thought it was kind of theory, but I didn't know that that was real money. Do you guys realize that we actually finance everything that we buy? You either self-finance it, and you lose the interest you could have earned on the money, right? Or you borrow from someone else, and you pay them interest. Either way, it's being financed, either by you or them. Does that make sense? Okay. So how can I win? Rich, you're confusing me right now. You're telling me if I borrow and I'm in debt, I'm a wealth chaser. But you're saying if I spend cash, I'm a wealth waster. Aren't those really the only two ways that I can purchase something? Let's look at this. The next phase of financial literacy is the wealth creator. When you see that picture, do you think that he's paying attention to his money? That's a money tree that he's grown from a little seed, right? He's watering it every day. He's watching every branch, every leaf on it. He takes very good care of it. See, he understands something that most individuals don't understand. He understands the compounding effect. Albert Einstein considered compound interest to be one of the great wonders of the world. Was he pretty smart? He said compound interest was the 8th wonder of the world. But wealth creators understand this a little bit differently, the way Einstein understood it. See, most individuals talk about compound interest, but they don't really understand compound interest. See, wealth creators understand that Einstein was actually referring to uninterrupted compound interest. You cannot become wealthy if you interrupt the compounding. Does that make sense? You have to let it compound, continue to compound. See, compound interest doesn't grow like this. It grows like that. You ever seen that chart before? You never heard of a dollar doubled every day? Who would rather have $100,000? Well, let's show of hands, right? Would you rather have a penny doubled every day for a month or $100,000? Who wants the penny doubled every day? Who wants the $100,000? So you guys think I'm trying to trick you. That's why you won't raise your hand. You're right. You want the penny doubled every day because that's going to turn to over $1 million in a month. Compounding, right? Let's look at this. What does the life of a wealth creator look like? You're looking at that and you're saying, well, Rich, that looks just like the wealth waster. But if you notice, there's a subtle difference there. See, instead of it just saying savings, it says savings plus interest. One thing wealth creators don't do that the average individual does, they won't put their money in a savings account and get 0.2% on it. Do you think Donald Trump's getting 0.2%? You think he has his money sitting in a regular savings account? How many people think he would do that? If you told him, you were trying to do business with him, and you told him you had $100,000 sitting in a regular savings account, he probably wouldn't do business with you. He said, this person's not on the level of someone I need to do business with. They don't understand money, right? But the wealth creator is going to get an above average rate of return on their money. Now, they have to buy things as well, right? Well, how do they buy things? They use a different strategy. They use something called collateralized borrowing when they need to make a major purchase. Collateralized borrowing. And they do this through their lifetimes. Whenever they need to make a major purchase, they use this thing called collateralized borrowing. Are they getting closer to the broke line, or are they moving further away from it over time? Moving further away from it, right, over time. See, they're letting the compounding effect still occur even while they're living their lifestyles, and they're buying the same things that you're buying, right? We call this strategy legacy banking. Legacy banking, and you're going to understand this in a sec. First of all, what is collateralized borrowing? What is that? Remember, we teach in pictures, so I'm going to show you a picture that explains to you what collateralized borrowing is. Let's say you had a vault, and you had all your money, your private reserve of money in that vault, right? So just say you had $100,000 in that vault. But let's say you had a major expense, like you need to pay for a wedding or a college education, tuition for your kids, or even purchase a car, all right? Now, if you're a wealth creator, you understand if I pay cash, what happens? Who can tell me what happens if I pay cash? It leaves my system, doesn't it? Right? So, what the wealth creator does is they look for a financial institution that they can say, hey, financial institution, look, I can prove to you, I can show you I have $100,000 sitting here in my vault, right? But I don't want to spend it. But what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to take some of it and put it over here as collateral. And I will let you put a lien against that collateral. Now, I'm not going to give you my money because I'm always going to keep control of my money. Because I can't earn interest on it if I give it to you. Does that make sense? So all you're getting is a piece of paper. It's a legal document that says you have the right to that money if I don't pay you. Is everyone with me? All right. Now, in return, does the financial institution, do they have any risk anymore? No. So I don't have to jump through hoops, right? So now they're going to give me this amortized loan, and I'm going to make structured principal and interest payments to them every month. See, the goal of this strategy is to leverage the fundamental differences between amortized and compounding interest that we've never been taught. The strategy is called arbitrage. Arbitrage. This is a strategy of the financially privileged. This will change your life forever. Let me give you a visual, an example of this. Let's say you had that $100,000 in that vault, and you wanted to purchase an automobile that was $30,000, right? Now, because you're a wealth creator, you understand I don't want to spend cash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a loan for $30,000. They're going to charge me 5% interest. I'll make monthly payments of $318. And I can make the loan terms whatever I want. So let's say I stretch the loan out as long as I could for 10 years, and I could pay it off whenever I want, but my payment's $318 a month. If I paid that over 10 years, that would be, I would pay in interest $8,184 over that 10 years in interest. The average person is looking at that like, why would I spend $8,184 in interest when I have the cash? Does that make sense? Scared to shake your head, aren't you? Most of us would say that doesn't make sense, right? I'll just pay cash and avoid the interest. But see, you got to understand, amortized interest cannot keep up with compounding interest. Cannot keep pace with it, right? So look what happens. Because I held on to the 30 grand, if I can put it somewhere where I could earn 5% average on it over that same 10 years, I'm going to earn $19,410 in interest. What happened there? Would you pay $8,000 in interest to earn $19,000 in interest? Who would do that? Show of hands. So now, not only did I get the car, over the period of time, I earned $11,000 on my money. That if I had paid cash, could I have earned the $19,000? No, because I would have transferred my potential wealth to whomever I was purchasing the car from. Okay? Now, using this same visual, I'm going to just shatter from some of you. It's going to hurt some of your feelings, but I'm going to shatter one of the biggest financial myths that we have. Most of us believe that when we're in retirement, we need to have the house paid off. Be honest. How many people walked in here believing that? Be honest. Want to have that house paid off in retirement, right? No mortgage. Comfort. Peace of mind, right? Let me show you something. Let's say you saved up $400 for retirement. A lot of people are going and they'll take $200,000. They still owe $200,000 on the house. They'll go and pay the house off, right? But instead, what we teach our clients to do, refinance the house down to the $200,000 that you owe on it. Free up that cash, keep the cash that you have, keep your $200,000, and now let that compound. If you can find somewhere that money can compound at 7%, you're going to earn $607,000 on it, and over that same 20 years while you're retired, you're going to pay $116,000 in interest. Do you realize that's an extra $500,000 of cash in retirement by not paying the house off? Amortized interest cannot keep pace with compounding interest. Who's ever seen that before? Excellent. We're going to talk. All right? Now, this is a huge paradigm to break for a lot of people because their mind is set on paying that house off. The numbers don't make sense. Okay? I can teach a whole 2 hours on that, but we don't have time. I'm going to move fast. Okay, wealth creators around the globe have implemented this strategy for centuries to finance their high-quality lifestyles and create generational family fortunes simultaneously to live in those lifestyles. See, we refer to the strategy once again as legacy banking. See, in order for you to understand this, you have to understand how the financial system works, how banks work, really how they win. Anyone here ever heard of fractional reserve banking before or fractional reserve lending? Anyone ever heard of that before? I'm going to break this down to you real quick. Let's say we go and we have $100,000. We put it in the bank in a savings account. I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to say they give you 1% on it, right? So how much you earn on that money each year? $1,000, right? On your 100 grand. All right. Isn't that exciting? Right? Now, the banks operate on a system called fractional reserve lending, where they can actually lend out from 10 to 20 times what they have deposited on reserve with them. So when you give them that $100,000, they can actually lend out $1 million to $2 million. They can literally create money out of thin air. Okay? It's called increasing the velocity of their money. So when they get $100K from you, look what they can do with it. They take that deposit. They're going to go give someone a mortgage, charge them 6%. They're going to go take an auto dealer, give him a line of credit, put cars on his lot, charge him 7%. They're going to go and help someone do an equity line on their house for a remodel, charge them 8%. They're going to go and help someone start up a credit card company, charge them 11%. Now, how do they make money? They charge us 18%. Right? Now, when you look at this, where's most of the money going back to? Everyone's paying the bank back, aren't they? And they're just taking their little spread to make a profit. So if you're going to be in any position here, where would you want to be? You want to be the bank, right? All right, so make sure we're on the same page. See, the bank lends out our money at a higher rate than they pay us. They're paying us 1, but they're lending this out 10 to 20 times over at these rates between 6 and 20%, right? All right, let's stop here for a second. The wealth creators understand this philosophy of increasing the velocity of our money, getting our money to basically do multiple things for us over and over again, like the banks do. Who creates the tax shelters and the tax havens? Is it the regular individual earning $30,000 a year, or is it the multimillionaire that's the one that's creating the loopholes and the havens and the shelters? And who's standing on Capitol Hill during the elections talking about taxes not being increased, really making a lot of noise about it, lobbying for it? Is it the regular individual, or is it the wealthy? It's the wealthy that are concerned about the taxes and that understand the tax code, right? So they're always looking for ways that they can mitigate taxes, reduce them. See, Mitt Romney, he didn't want to show his tax returns because he didn't want everyone to see the strategies that he was utilizing. Does that make sense? He didn't do anything illegal. He just took advantage of the tax code. Now I'm going to show you something that my mentor showed me a few years ago. He said, look, this is what I've been teaching people to do. I've been teaching them how to become like the bank and take their money and amplify it. See, the secret of wealth creators, one of the biggest secrets, although originally created primarily to provide a death benefit, when properly structured, life insurance could actually be used as a supercharged personal banking system. Look at this. Now, you might say, I never heard of that before. So you got to just follow the money trail, follow the rules, follow the IRS code. It'll tell you the story. See, in 1982, Section 7702 was put in place of the Internal Revenue Code. You know why this code was put in place? Because the wealth creators, the financially privileged, were putting so much money into properly structured insurance contracts that Uncle Sam said, yeah, this is legal, but wait, let's wait a second. You guys are putting too much into these contracts. You know why they were putting them into insurance contracts? Because once they put the money into the insurance contracts, they were earning 20 to 40 times what the banks pay on our money. Let me say that again. 20 to 40 times the rate of interest that banks pay on their money. That's not it. They had to pay no taxes on the interest that they were earning on the money. And on top of that, they were getting protection from their family. So what Section 7702 says is that we're going to put some regulations on this because you guys basically, you're buying $10,000 worth of life insurance and you're putting $1 million of cash into the policy. That doesn't even make sense. Why do you need $10,000 worth of life insurance if you can put $1 million of insurance in there? Everyone with me? So they said the amount of insurance has to be higher than the cash amount that you're putting in there, or it's not insurance. So they put, and up until 1988, there were no regulations on this. So in 82, Section 7702 was put in place that put regulations on it. Now, this strategy is still so potent that the wealthy said, okay, well, you kind of put some regulations on it, but it's still the most powerful strategy that we can use. The best place to mitigate our taxes, the best place to protect our families and to create generational wealth, we're going to still continue to do it. There's no place better to do it. But when we go to get our money out of here, we still don't want to pay taxes on it. We want to be able to access our money, the millions that we're putting in here, without paying taxes on it. So Uncle Sam said, okay, that's fair. We put regulations on it. We're going to put something else in place to help you out. They put in place Section 72E, and there's pads on these tables as well, I think, that you guys can write these codes out and go research them once we're done here tonight, okay? They put in place Section 72E, which allows a policy owner to take tax-free distributions from their properly structured insurance contract. So imagine this. You guys that have 401ks, okay, your taxes are being deferred on the money, isn't it? Right? You don't have to pay taxes. But when you get to retirement age and you go to pull that money, what happens? You have to pay taxes. Imagine being able to put as much money as you could into that 401k and in retirement being able to pull the money out and not have to pay any taxes on it. Would that be a good thing? Oh, yeah, it'd be a very good thing, right? So they don't have to pay any taxes on the money. I'm going to show you why in a second. Then the wealthy said, okay, one day I'm going to die, and I don't want my kids to be left with taxes when I die. So Uncle Sam put in place Section 101A1 of the Internal Revenue Code, which allows any death benefit from an insurance contract to be passed to the beneficiary tax-free. Did you guys know that? Any death benefit from any life insurance contract, there are no taxes on it, no matter how big the death benefit is. Who knew that? I didn't know that until a few years ago. I've been licensed for 12 years. Okay? So let's look at how this works. That picture looks familiar. I just showed you that. So now, instead of using a financial institution, a bank, you can actually take an insurance company, which is also a financial institution. You can take that $100,000, put it in there, into the insurance contract. All you do is make a call to the insurance company and say, hey, I need to buy a car, I need 30 grand. They're going to look at your contract and they're going to say, he put 100,000 in here, the money's there. They're going to say, where do you want it wired? And within 24 to 48 hours, the money's in your account. They put a lien against that portion of your money, and then look what they do that's different from the bank. They give you an interest-only loan. You never have to pay the principal back if you don't want to on the loan. On top of that, they give you non-structured payments. What does that mean? That means that when we go to a bank and you get a loan, there's structured payments, so you have to make that payment every month for your car, right? What happens if you miss 3 payments? What happens? I can tell you, right? With the insurance contract, it's a non-structured payment. So now you can make a payment 1 month, double up another month, not make a payment for 4 months, come back, make another payment, maybe not make a payment for a year, double up, triple up. Who likes that better? It's a lot more fun, isn't it? Right? A lot less stressful. Because you're actually using your money to do that. It's your own banking system. Every time you make a payment, look what happens. What happened there? Did you see that? Every time you make a payment, the lien is being released and your money's being put back into your vault. Everybody see that? But the money, you never gave anyone the money. You just put it to the side as collateral. You were still earning interest on it. So you were earning interest on it the entire time, even while you had the loan from the insurance carrier. Does that make sense? Now, let's look at this. See, permanent life insurance, when designed and utilized properly, can provide stable growth, cash value collateralization, and guaranteed loan access. And on top of it, not only is this a financial strategy, what comes along for the ride automatically is the death benefit that protects your family, just because of the strategy that you're using. So when you implement this strategy, look what happens. Just like you would make deposits into a bank, you deposit premiums into the insurance carrier. It's just categorized. The name is just different. It's called premium, right? Now you can finance your own car, your own vacation, your mortgage. Okay, it depends on how much you put in. Depends on your financial resources, right? You can actually do all of this and at the same exact time fund your retirement with the same money. I don't know if you caught what I'm telling you right now. You're taking care of all of these things, and while you're doing these things, that same money is preparing your retirement. And then when you're gone, the same exact money is taking care of the next generation. This is what the financially privileged do with their money. See, let's show you an example. Let's say you have an automobile. You want that convertible Beamer you've been trying to get, right? Found a good deal on it. Let's say you can get it for 40 grand, right? Pre-owned. The Wealth Chaser, they're operating below the broke line anyway, right? So they're just going to get a loan for 40 grand, pay $5,000 in interest over 4 years, make payments of $45,000 over 4 years, and at the end of 4 years, the loan is paid, and they're back at the broke line, right? And they have a depreciating asset, which is the car. Who would agree? All right. Let's look at the Wealth Waster. They have 100 grand. They save money. So they have 100 grand in their account. They want to buy the car. They stroke a check for it for $40,000. Once they stroke that check, how much is left in the account? $60,000, right? Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate because some individuals say, well, I would pay the money back. I wouldn't have to make the payment, so I would put the money back in the account every month. How many people really do that? Not many people. It takes a very disciplined person to do that. But most people aren't going to do that. But let's say you did. At the end of 4 years, you would have put the $40,000 back into the account, so you'd have your 100 back, plus you would have earning 1% interest, you would have earned approximately $3,200 in interest over those 4 years, so you'd have $103,000 plus the car. A little bit better, right? Now you're a wealth creator. They take their $100,000, instead of them spending $40,000, they collateralize $40,000 of their 100, leave it in the tank, right? Never give it to anyone else. Let it continue to compound interest. So they just put a lien against it. They're going to pay interest for the right to have that loan, that lien of 6%. So they're going to pay the same $5,000 that this individual paid. So they'd have $54,000 left. They'd be left with $54,000 of access in their account. But when they make their payments, just like this individual is, at the end of 4 years, the $40,000 would release the entire lien, wouldn't it? Guys, remember when you make payments, the lien is released? So now they have access to the $40,000 again after the 4 years. Plus, they never let any of the money leave their account, so they weren't getting paid interest on $60,000. They were getting paid interest on the full $100,000 over those 4 years, because it never left their personal economic model, did it? Now, what if you could find a place that you could average 7% per year on that $100,000? $28,000 in interest, they'd have close to $123,000 plus the car. Looks like they're doing the same thing as their neighbor, but they're $20,000 to $60,000 wealthier at the end of the 4 years, plus they have the car. What do you prefer? Right? Same money, different results. See, we've all heard, there's so many cliches out here, you know? It's not how much money you make, it's what you do with it. How many heard that before? It's not how much you make, what you do with it, right? And we all know, I'm going to show you another cliche in a minute that's going to blow you away, all right? So what you should be thinking right now is that you're not looking at an investment process. You're looking at a banking and a savings strategy I'm showing you. There's actually no risk to this strategy that I'm showing you right now. No risk to your money at all. Zero risk. We've never been taught that we can grow our wealth without risking our money, right? So during these last 15 minutes, I'm going to show you some stuff that's really powerful. See, 61% of baby boomers fear outliving their money more than death. Individuals born between 1946 and 64, they think they're going to run out of money, most people. They have no plan, right? They don't have enough saved. Only 53% were confident about their ability to gauge their retirement income needs. See, market losses create a lot of uncertainty. See, from 1929 to 1923 was the Great Depression. The market fell 89% over that period of 3 years. 89% drop in the Dow. How do you think their 401ks were looking? Well, they didn't have 401ks back then, but they were just investing in stock. By the way, it took 22 years to recover from that. Now, what does recover mean? It means just get back to where they were 22 years before. Not earn profit, right? 1973 to 74, the Dow fell 45%, right? Took 8 years to recover from that. Then, during the latest drop in the market in 2007, the Dow fell 53%. It took 6 years for us to recover from that. So individuals that had 401ks, it took 6 years for their money just to get back to where it was before. See, I like to use third-party documentation because this isn't about me and what I know. I didn't invent this. Look at this. This is a snapshot from Yahoo Finance. Any one of you can go to your computer, go to Yahoo Finance, and pull up this chart of the Dow. Okay? This is 2007. That's where the Dow was, 14,093 points. Then what happened in between 2007 and 2009? It dropped all the way down to like less than 7,000. Right? Then the market came back up. So if you ask most people, how's your 401k doing? Oh, it's doing great. I did 11% last year, 18% the year before. They forget about this. Right? Because if you really look at what happened, 6 years later, the market was at 15,685, which was the end of last year. So look at this. If you take the 15,685, which was the high in 2013, and 14,093, which was the peak in 2007, that means between 2007 and 2013, the market increased by 1,565 points. Everyone with me? So what you have to do to really find out what's going on, you have to find out what percentage did it grow by between 2007 and 2013. So you have to divide this by the 14,093 to see what percent that is of 14,093. It's 11.1% growth between that time. But that's over 6 years. So you have to divide that by 6 years and you find out what you've been averaging on your money. 1.85% average. That's what your 401k averaged over that time. How's that for investing? Are you happy with that? Now, what we didn't even take into consideration is the 3% inflation that we talked about. So you only earn less than 2% and the value of your money went down by 3%. So when you net this out, the grand total is a negative 1.29 cash on cash decrease in your money. But what are we doing? We're just dumping money in, right? It's just coming out of that check. Every 2 weeks, we feel good about it. Because we've never been taught the truth about money. Does this make sense to anyone? Okay. All right, so I talked earlier about insurance and what the wealthy do with insurance to mitigate that risk and to grow their money and to mitigate those taxes, right? Let's look at this. What type of insurance contract do I use to implement this strategy that we call legacy banking? And how does it work? Now, there are a few different types of insurance that you permanent insurance contract types that you can utilize to do this. But what we utilize, because it's the most powerful type of insurance to implement this strategy, is what's called an equity index universal life policy. Equity index universal life policy. Less than 5% of financial professionals have been trained how to properly structure one of these. They don't know how to do it. That guy that's sitting at the desk at Merrill Lynch and all these big names, they don't know how to do this. You have to basically learn this from someone who's implementing it in their lives. And when I say that, I say it because I've talked to the guys. They don't know how to do this. I've had clients that went to them and they don't know how to do this. Okay? Now, how does this work? It works with what's called a floor and a ceiling. See, the goal of this strategy, of the indexing strategy inside this type of contract, is to have the potential for your money to grow in the market without any risk of your principal. Now, the indexes that these types of contract use are indexes such as the S&P 500, the Dow, NASDAQ, gold, the Eurostock, all the major markets that you've heard of. You can actually take advantage of them inside of these contracts. Your principal, though, is guaranteed in writing against loss. Anyone has in writing that they won't lose money in their retirement account? No? Okay, just checking. Now, how does this work? You have a floor on your money. The floor is zero. That means the worst you can do in any year is zero. So even if the market goes negative 20, your floor is zero. But you can earn on the top end between 10, 15, we even have some indexes that go up as high as 16% per year with zero risk. How you like that? It's pretty nice, right? Don't even say that's too good to be true. Come on, Rich. Why would they do that? Right? Why would someone do that? See, what our clients have learned is that zero is your hero. Zero is your hero. Why do we say that? Well, the way we're investing now is we take our $100,000, we dump it in the market goes up by 10%, we now have $110,000. But does the market always go up? No. So let's say the next year, the market goes down by 10%. Now we have $99,000. Did you guys know, by the way, that math and money don't go together? See, I gained 10 and I lost 10. So shouldn't that net out at zero? Why do I have less than I started with? Because math and money don't go together. So now I have 99,000. But had I understood the indexing strategy, my 110 would have remained at 110 and I would have stayed up here because I go sideways and up. I don't go down. Right? So now when everyone else is getting 5% starting from here, I'm starting from here because my gains are locked in every year. The worst I can do is zero. So just in those three little moves, that's a difference of 11% with my money. That's $11,000 difference because I didn't take the loss they took. Now, how does that work over time? Well, if I had $100,000 and I just showed you that chart of the Dow, this is the S&P, it was at 1,400 in 2007. Then it fell all the way down to 650. If I was utilizing this strategy, even though the market fell all the way down to 650, because of my zero floor, I would still have $100,000 when the market fell this much. So when the market started going back up, Just back to where it was before. It didn't go beyond where it was before. I just recovered, right? Everyone else is back to where they were financially. But my money's doubled. You don't understand. Do you understand what I'm showing you? Okay. This is incredible. This is incredible. This is life-changing what I'm showing you right now. And I haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet. Okay? Now, these are real numbers right here. See, we use real numbers. This isn't something that we're making up. These are real numbers. This is what the actual S&P did between 1999 and 2010. This is known as the lost decade. Because if you had $100,000 in 1999 and you invested it in the raw market, your $100,000 would have been worth $91,000 10 years later. Because you took losses these 3 years in a row. 9/11 happened. You guys remember that, right? The markets, we had 3 horrible years. And then the markets came back. This is when everyone was, a guru, right? In stocks, real estate. Everyone was making money. You couldn't lose during these 5 years, right? And then 2008, 2009 happened. The market fell 34%. And the recession hit us hard. So 100,000 would have turned into 91,000. Using the indexing strategy, when everyone else took these losses, you would have gone sideways. Who would have been your hero? Zero, right? When they took this 34% hit, I'll take a 0, thank you. Right? So now, my money doubled when they lost. Same market. I don't take losses. See, wealth creators don't take losses. Warren Buffett has 2 rules. Is he pretty smart when it comes to money, by the way? Warren Buffett? He has 2 rules. He said, rule number 1, don't take losses. And then he has a second rule. Don't forget rule number 1. Look it up. That's a difference of 7.3% average on your money. Okay, now I'm going to show you some good stuff. You're going to lose sleep after you see this stuff right here. The following examples are for educational purposes only and are being used to illustrate financial strategies, okay? It's different for everyone based on their age, health, all types of stuff, things of that nature, okay? So this is an example, real example of an illustration for a 55-year-old female. Let's say she's a business owner. She saved up $250,000 over the last 10 years, right? That she's put away for her retirement. She sees this strategy and she says, I like this. I want to protect my money. So she puts her money into an insurance contract. Now, because of Internal Revenue Code 7702, she cannot dump the entire $250 in there at one time. There is an actual test that must be run that actually tells us how quickly the money can be put into this properly engineered, reverse engineered contract. That's what I call a reverse engineered contract or properly structured insurance contract, right? So what she does is she can put in $52,000 a year. Everyone see that right there? See that? $52,000 a year. And then the last year there's another $39,000 left. So she spent all of her money in over 5 years. And did you see that she doesn't put another dime in there? Everyone see that? Now look what happens. Immediately, when she puts the first $52,000 in, just because of where she puts it, if something happened to her the next month after she put the $52,000 in, her family would get $901,000. Just because of where the money is. She's amplified her money just like the bank. Does that make sense? Isn't that smart? Right? Now, at age 65, well, let me go back here. While she's doing this, she has access to her money to collateralize it. So this is her, we call it your bank. She can collateralize this money should she need money. How difficult is it to get to the money in your 401k? Pretty difficult, isn't it? Here, she can actually get access to her money and collateralize it if she has an opportunity for an investment or something of that nature, right? So year 5, if she sees an investment that she knows she's going to make money with, she has access to $242,000 that she can collateralize if she sees as a good opportunity for her, right? Now, at age 65, she shuts it down. She retires. She begins to use Internal Revenue Code 72E to collateralize her money that has built up here to $332,000. She can pull $33,000 per year as income tax-free for the rest of her life. She's only put in $250,000. Everyone see that? She's put in $250,000. She pulls $33,000 for life, and if she dies at 95, she leaves behind $412,000. So what's happened here, which is unbelievable, she's put $250,000 in and turned it into $1.4 million of tax-free cash. Does your 401k do that? It's called amplification of your money. This is what the banks do. Do you guys know that over 50% of the bank's money, they're putting it into this? Go look it up. This is what the banks do with their money. They say, give me your money. Give me your money. I'll give you 1%, and this is what they do with it. Over 50% of their money. Bank of America, over 50% of their money is in bank-owned life insurance. Well, why can't I just invest the money in a traditional investment like a good stock or mutual fund and get the same results? I don't need any life insurance. The cost of permanent insurance is expensive, and I'm single. I don't need insurance. Isn't that what some of you guys are thinking? I don't need insurance. Right? Well, let's talk about that. Do you guys know that there's a cost to grow money? I don't care where you're investing. There's a cost to grow money. Who agrees with that? You're paying either an investment manager or a broker or someone's being paid to grow your money, right? Now, something that we've never been taught before is that cost actually compounds up with the balance in our accounts. Ever thought about that before? If you have a brokerage account, as you earn more interest, you're paying more in taxes. Your taxes are compounding with your gains. Does that make sense? Okay. And the management fee is compounding with your gains, right? Guess what? You have to pay the management fee even if you lose. I have clients that come in and say, I just lost $17,000 and they charge me $18,000 fee. Am I telling the truth? Some of you have experienced that in this room, right? So look at this. We have a tool, we have this thing called the one-on-one calculator all of our advisors have, and we sit down with a client, we show them when they're like, well, I have this brokerage account or I have this. Well, you have to take into consideration what's happening with taxes and fees over time in this account. See, taxes and fees are a wealth transfer. It's eroding away your potential future wealth. Does that make sense? So, this is actually a snapshot of someone dumping $200,000, $250,000, the difference between doing it in an insurance policy, properly structured, and a traditional investment account. By the fifth year, during the early years, the insurance contract is more expensive. But as their account begins to grow, what happens is by the fifth year, they've actually surpassed in cost the cost of the insurance contract. The cost of the insurance contract is going down, the cost of the investment account is going up, right? So what happens is this. By the time we reach year 20 of saving, they've spent $180,000 in taxes and fees inside their investment account, and the insurance contract has cost them $71,000. Is that a pretty big difference? You've lost over $100,000 of your money just in fees and taxes that you didn't have to pay if you understood money better and you understood how to mitigate those taxes. Right? That's real life. And this is actually a graph here. This is what happens in a traditional account over time with taxes and fees. This is what happens inside of a properly structured insurance contract over time. This is why if I utilize a properly structured insurance contract from the same exact balance, I can actually take anywhere from 2 to 4 times the retirement income off the same money. So we can show someone with $250,000 to live the same lifestyle as someone who has $1 million in their retirement account. See, now that's teaching someone it's not how much money you make, it's what you do with it. Would you agree? All right. See, we have a passion about this. We talk to athletes and entertainers. We're trying to get this word out. Are there some athletes and entertainers going broke? I'm talking about making tons of money. Tens of millions of dollars. This is an example just to show you how powerful this is. If the right people can get out here and just get their hands on these folks, we can change society. We can change philanthropy in our communities. It's just unbelievable. Look at this. This is an example of a 23-year-old athlete or entertainer. Let's say they get $5 million, okay? Let's say they're making $1 million a year, okay? Or a couple million a year, what have you. We can show them, look, just put $1 million away over 5 years, okay? Just $279,000 a year. That's it, of your $2 million that you're making. Just put that away. Just put it over here. When they put the first $279,000 away, if anything happened to them, their family would get $12 million off that $200,000. They've amplified the money. See, they've increased the velocity of the money. It's doing multiple things at the same time. Does everyone see what's going on here? Now look what happens. At age 45, not 65, at age 45, this athlete or entertainer can begin to pull, let me go back, $405,000 per year tax-free for life. That's the equivalent of having a $700,000 per year salary for life. How much did they put in this? How much did they put in? $1 million. So look what happened here. And then when they die, let's say they live to age 88, they leave behind $30 million. So you've shown them how to take $1 million and by understanding money, take that $1 million and turn it into $48 million tax-free. Is that powerful? Do you think if you show some individuals this, it can change some things? See, we have individuals that are earning tens of millions of dollars, leaving nothing behind for their families. Right? Can't really do anything for society because they're wealth wasters. The money's going out of the end of the tube, right? And they have to maintain the lifestyle. They don't know how to use their money. They've just been taught how to spend the money, not how to use it and keep it within the system. This is an incredible amplification of money. This is a real illustration. This is not some pie in the sky. This is real, what I'm showing you. This doesn't even seem real, does it? Everyone doesn't have $1 million, though, do they? So let's look at another example. This is an example of a 45-year-old male that has $500 a month to put away. Puts it into one of these legacy banks, $6,000 a year. If something happened to him the first day, he put $500 into the account. The next week, he gets hit by a bus. From that $500, his family would get $133,000. It's just saving the money smarter. He's doing multiple things at the same time, increasing the velocity of the money. At age 65, from this $120,000 that he's saved over the course of 20 years, he's able to pull $26,500 per year tax-free for life. Now, who can tell me why it's tax-free? Why is it tax-free? Has anyone figured that out yet? You've paid taxes on it, but you've earned interest. Remember something I told you about? See, those codes I told you about are very important. Remember I told you that code 72E? He's never pulling his money out. If he were to actually pull his money out, he'd have to pay taxes on it. But because he's using 72E and he's collateralizing his money, it's officially a loan. So technically it's a loan. See, this is a strategy of the wealthy. They figured out how to not have to pay the taxes. This was put in place for the powers that be, by the powers that be. Right? So he pays no taxes on this. He put $120,000 in, pulls out $700,000+, and then when he dies, leaves behind $148,000. So that's $900,000 off that $120,000. Anyone in here have a plan that can do that? Because if you do, I want to know. Because we want to know, guys, because we want to implement the best strategies for our clients. My mentors, the individuals who taught me this, we call them vaults. Every time we set one of these up, we call it a vault. They have 10, 20, 25 vaults. This is what they do with their money. This is what they're doing. I've seen it. They've shown me millions of dollars in these. The insurance companies had to actually put caps on. They will let you put, they made it, they really lowered it. You only can put about $60 million in there. All right. Insurance companies don't advertise this. Banks don't advertise. Why do you think banks don't advertise this? It doesn't behoove them to tell you about this. Why doesn't Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey talk about this? Because their sponsors are Ameritrade. You understand? You're not going to hear about this on TV. Someone has to tell you about this, how to do this. See, everyone's walking around. There's a bunch of advisors out here walking around with IULs in their IUL stands for Equity Index Universal Life Policy, in their briefcases. But you have to, this is the best terminology. My mentors say we don't teach people how to buy clubs. We don't sell clubs. We teach people how to swing, right? Would you rather have Tiger Woods swing or his golf clubs? Everyone has clubs, right? Tiger Woods will beat us badly with a starter set, wouldn't you say? Right? It's a swing. So we teach our clients how to swing. We teach you about money and how it works, right? All right, I'm going to show you something that's really powerful. Now, remember I said that there are a lot of cliches out here? Who's ever heard the one before? A good man leaves an inheritance Who can finish it for me? To his children's children. We get passionate about that, don't we? What you doing to set that up, okay? What you doing? Has anyone sat down with you and showed you how to do it? No. But we hear it over and over again with passion, but no one's teaching us how to do it. Let me show you something. See, when we buy insurance, we actually are both the owner and the insured of our policies, aren't we? Now, and then we'll have someone else and they'll be the beneficiary of the policy. See, what the wealth creators understand is that all three of these were put in place for a reason. Did you know that all three of those can be different individuals? You can have an owner, you can have an insured, and a different beneficiary. So let's say you had this individual who's a 46-year-old male. Let's say he has insurance in place and he loves this strategy, but let's say he just was diagnosed with something. He's not in bad health, but he might have diabetes and the insurance company might not want to insure him for some reason. He says, man, I really want to do this. I'm a little behind on my retirement planning. I really want to do this. Well, the wealth creators understand that, look, you can own the policy. As long as you have insurable interest in someone else, you can put them insurance on them. So he has a 16-year-old son. He puts the insurance on him. Right? Doesn't he have insurable interest in his 16-year-old son? So he makes him the insured, and he begins to dump this $500 a month in there. Okay? That's $6,000 a year. Not a lot of money, right? While he's doing that, his bank is growing. He puts $120,000 of deposits in there. Along the way, he has available cash. If he should need to invest in something or just need money for something, it's available to him. Now, let's say at age 66, he begins to take $25,000 per year as tax-free income, right, for his retirement, in addition to his Social Security or whatever. Also, by the way, did you know that this doesn't affect your Social Security because it's invisible to the IRS? It's not income, right? So now, $25,000 a year, and let's say he lives all the way to the age of 99, a long life. How much death benefit does that pay out there? $613,000? Was the insurance on him or was it on his son? So does it pay out any death benefit yet? No. Right? He dies, the ownership of the policy transfers over to his son, who's now 69. His son begins to take $40,000 per year out tax-free for the rest of his life. You don't understand what I'm showing you right now. Why can he do this? Because he never took the money out. Even though this guy's pulling $25,000 a year, collateralizing that as an income, do you see that his account balance is still going up? Do you see that? Because you're never really touching your money. You're just borrowing against your money. You never interrupt the compounding of your money. It's staying in your system. So now, by the time his son gets this, there's $3 million of cash inside the account. So if the market goes up by 10% that year, that's $300,000 in interest that year. That's what he's giving his son. Now, look at this. I get a little excited. So let's reiterate this real quick. From 66 to 99, the father took $25,000 a year. By the way, how much did the dad put in? $6,000 a year, right? For 20 years, $120,000. That's all he put in. So he takes $25,000 a year for the rest of his life. The son takes over at 69. He puts $40,000 a year for the rest of his life. Let's say he lives to age 93. So when you look at this, the father put in $120,000. He pulled out $850,000 of tax-free money for his retirement. Did he sacrifice anything? Did he get something out of this? Oh yeah, live well, right? The son received $960,000 of tax-free income for his retirement. That's a total of $1.8 million of tax-free money that came off of that $120,000. On top of that, when the son dies, the kids and the grandkids get $3.6 million. Do you hear what I'm telling you right now? The kids and the grandkids, they don't get $500 a month. They get a lump sum of $3.6 million tax-free. Now what happens when you can pass $3.6 million to your kids and this knowledge? What happens? In a lump sum. Do you understand? Within 2 generations, you have hundreds of millions of dollars. Hundreds of millions. Within a couple of more generations, you have billions in your family. You're looking at the great divide right here. This is it. This is it. No one's teaching us this. Do you understand? This is kept close to the vest. So we've taken $120,000 in. We've created $5.4 million of tax-free money off of that $120,000. That gets me very excited. You see, when I think about the life that my daughters are going to be able to live, and I can't talk about it too long because I'll start getting emotional, but when I think about the life that it's going to create for them because of this knowledge, God blessing me with this knowledge, I get very emotional about it. Okay? Unreal. You have to amplify your money. If someone told you that there was a machine that you could take a $20 bill, all the money you had, you could put it in, and it would make it worth $100, every 20 would be worth 100 once it went through that machine, how many of your 20s would you put into that machine? This is what I'm showing you right now, but guess what? Some people are going to come here, they're going to look at this, they're going to say, oh, that was interesting. And guess what? They're going to go leave and they're going to keep doing exactly what they were doing before. And I just showed you something that can change not only your life, I'm talking about your children and your children's children. We're talking biblical stuff here. This is real deal. Worst case scenario, go and do your due diligence on what I'm telling you right now, because I know it's true. And the advisor who invited you, they know that it's true. I do this with my money. My mentors have been doing this for 15, 20 years with their money. Okay? This is unreal. So, when you look at this personal economic flow model, again, it looks a little bit different because what I'm teaching you how to do is how to put your money in a savings vehicle that can feed your cash flow for the rest of your life and never be depleted. Does that make sense? This never goes down, but yet it feeds you for the rest of your life. Isn't that what we need in retirement? Don't we need something that can feed our lifestyle until we die? What's your plan right now? Do you know if you're going to have enough? Most of us don't know. I know that there was a heavy burden on me as an entrepreneur. I never had an exit strategy. I just had to try to make more money. If I make enough, then I'll be okay. That's how we think. If I make enough, it won't matter. I've shown you how to mitigate the tax losses, the taxes that are dripping out of this system. I've shown you how to mitigate those by putting your money in a vehicle that can actually defer the taxes forever, right? And lastly, I've shown you a way for the next generation to not only earn their money here, I'm showing you how to give it to them through inheritance. Is that powerful? Changing the game. So with that being said, imagine not giving away your hard-earned money to monthly interest payments, earning compound interest and not having to worry about market losses, borrowing from your own personal banking system, however, whenever you want, being able to utilize profits from your business without actually ever spending your profits or interrupting the compounding of your retirement nest egg as a business, being able to finance your own equipment with your money that you're going to use for retirement. Unbelievable. Taking money from your bank as tax-free income, beginning each year wealthier than you were the year before. Never having to worry about being declined for a loan. Doesn't matter about your credit. You're the bank. You're not going to deny yourself, are you? Right? Never having to worry about damaging your credit, repossession or late fees if you miss a payment, because you're going to set your own system up for unstructured payments. Teaching your children a strategy that will forever change their lives. See, you have to dismiss old concepts. Today's top financial experts advise us to handle our money according to how we live today, and you have to dismiss the old concepts. Forget about what you thought you knew before you came in here this evening. Some good books, you want to write them down. A great book to learn about this vehicle is The Retirement Miracle. The Retirement Miracle by Patrick Kelly. It explains that IUL and how the inner workings of it actually, how that thing ticks. Okay? Pirates of Manhattan is a great book if you really want to understand what's really going on Wall Street, what's really going on with your 401ks and things of that nature. And if you want to understand taxes a lot better, The Retirement Savings Time Bomb is great as well by Ed Slott. Appreciate you guys coming. My name is Rich Thompson. Thank you.